let's move on to our new features for the progress display of courses and sections. Previously, Designer displayed all the relevant activities when it came to course progress. So when it came to this progress bar here, it was automatically displaying all the relevant activities. And relevance is determined by the activities that are selected for course completion or as course completion criteria. And while we were discussing this with a couple of customers, we realized that in some courses that is perfectly fine. And we think that's most courses, to be honest. But in other courses, you might want to have a progress which lists all the activities that you've completed so that you have a continuous positive reinforcement for your students, because they continuously see that they proceed and get a new percentage added to their progress, even if it doesn't really matter for the course progress, because that only is increased when there's a new milestone that they reach, like a quiz or an assignment or something like that. So in order to make this better customizable, we are adding mains to control how course progress and section progress is determined. In the progress bar, you see, for example, in this case here, that the 4 remaining criteria that need to be completed are these 4 activities. That's visible once you click on this. And you've completed 56% of the course, and you've completed 50% of the first module. In this example here, we are using these sections to calculate the course progress. So it's the same activities that are completed actually, but we are counting. You have completed one section, which is the required learning section. You've got 100% in this section. So all 3 activities have been completed. And you have 2 more sections to go. And that's especially helpful if you have a long course and you don't want your course progress to be so cluttered to have, 17 out of 36 activities completed. You'd rather have like the first module or the first section is completed and the 2 other ones are remaining. So both this is telling the student 1 out of 3 criteria is completed, and the donut is telling the student 33%, which means like 1 out of 3 sections, exactly the same information, is completed. I've in addition turned on the course status here, which is enrolled, in progress, or completed. And obviously that's a bit too much for a real course. I've just turned everything on and clicked on the progress bar here to take the screenshot for you so that I can show you everything. One kind of odd problem that I sometimes say on customers' courses is that it's hard to say for a student if a course is actually completed. And in order to mitigate that, we have now multiple mains to indicate that a course is completed, both in our donut, of course with the progress bar, and with this course status badge here. Let's have a look how it looks on our Moodle side. So I'm back in this very course here, which we used previously. And if you look at the participants list, you'll see that I'm not in this course. So let's change that. Just need to find me. There we go. And now you see that I'm enrolled in this course. I've completed 0 out of 3 criteria. And this is also reflected in the donut. In this section, I now also have a donut. In Designer 1.5 and earlier, you only had the progress bar in the section. Now you can switch between donut or progress bar or nothing. It's your choice. So let's complete a few activities, shall we? In this case, it's very simple. I just have to open the page, and let's use the course index to complete all 3 activities, which means that I've now completed the required learning section. So let's look back at the course. And not a surprise, I've completed the required learning section, and now I've completed 1 out of 3 criteria, which means 33%. If I click on the green bar in the progress bar, I see that I've completed this section. If I click on the gray bar, I see that I have 2 more sections to complete. Let's look at the settings. In this course, in the header section, because like the progress is displayed in the header, that's kind of why we put it there. You see that we've both turned on the progress bar, and we set the course progress to be a donut. We usually recommend to use just one of those two, not both. So if progress is a very important thing for you, we would probably recommend to just use the progress bar, like so. Because this is providing both a visual clue as well as a textual clue, and the information which sections or activities or relevant activities are supposed to be completed. So students have a lot of information. This is maybe a bit too clunky for some courses. So if you'd rather have a more clean interface, which represents the same information, but it's just a bit cleaner, you probably would want to use the course progress as a donut instead of the progress bar. And probably also, let's turn off the, completion status indicator. And this now looks very clean and simple. So it really depends on what you need in your courses. Do you need a very clear information, what the student has done and not done, or is just like one information enough? You might want to, in addition to the donut, also include the completion status indicator, which you can place either below the course progress or with the course metadata to the left below the title. Let's put it to the course progress for a second. And then students have one clear element which tells them, am I in progress? Have I completed the course? Or am I just enrolled and haven't even started it? So depending on your use case, you might want to use one or both or in combination. Let's have a look at the course completion settings, shall we? So you see that there's a lot of activities in here. All these have activity completion turned on, and they are marked, all of them are marked as completion relevant. That's how we call that, like completion relevant, because they're selected as activity completion criteria for the course. So if we look at the settings now, you'll see that in the course header section, the course progress is calculated based upon sections. And let me be clear, this has nothing to do with how course progress or course completion is actually determined. That's done with the course completion settings that we just looked at. This here is just about show, it's just about how to display it, how to communicate it, if that makes sense. And I can here say, use all the completion criteria as the relevant criteria. This would include activity completion and the completion of other courses. So if you require your students to complete other courses, which we usually call prerequisites in designer terminology, then completion criteria would be the best for you. If you want the course progress to be determined by how many activities the student has completed that are completion relevant, then you choose this. If you want all activities to be used to calculate and display the course progress, then use all activities, and that means all activities that have completion configured, because otherwise they can't be included if completion is not configured. And if you want sections, then you choose sections. For the section progress, we have a similar feature, but you can only select relevant activities, which are all the activities that are marked as relevant in the course completion settings, or all activities. So it really depends on how you want to use it. And as I mentioned previously, you can switch from donut to progress bar per section, and you can do the same thing for the course progress. You can display it as a progress bar or as a donut.